Hi, welcome back to The Growth Show. I'm your host, Whitney Bateson, and today's guest is someone whose name probably rings a bell if you've ever Googled anything about WordPress, Divi, or running a web design business. Josh Hall. Josh is a web design business coach, podcast host, and founder of the Web Designer Pro community. Through his popular podcast, YouTube channel, online courses, and thriving membership that I am a member of, he helps web designers build businesses that give them more freedom and a life they actually love, not one that runs them into the ground. In this episode, we are chatting all about what makes websites work, what conversion tips we have for you, and so much more so that your website is actually this functional home for your business that is not just sitting there looking pretty, but is actually doing work, getting you clients, and being the sales tool for you. So Josh just brings such a wealth of knowledge to the podcast. I'm so excited to welcome him in, and make sure you stick around because I have an exciting announcement at the end of today's episode. All right, let's get into the conversation with Josh. All right, welcome Josh to the podcast today. I am so honored to have you here.
I am honored to be here, Whitney. Yeah, I just had you on my podcast recently, so the tables have turned and I'm here for it. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I love it. I have been a longtime listener of yours. You offer just such great insights about websites and just business in general. And so I'm just thrilled. It's a little bit of a fangirl moment too, because you've been in the game for a very long time. And I think first off, yeah, just a little bit about like how you got into web design anyway.
Sure. Yeah, it really all started. I used to be a cabinet maker and a metal drummer. And so, yeah, a little unrelated to web design and business, but I was doing that and I got laid off from my cabinet making job. And I had always had an interest in design and creativity. And so I just dove into actually graphic design initially, dove into Photoshop and stuff like that. And then what I found is I really enjoyed doing graphic design work. And then my light bulb moment was when we were playing a festival and then somebody asked me how much I would charge to do their artwork because I was doing my band's artwork. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could make money doing something I actually enjoy, which every entrepreneur, I feel like, has that light bulb moment at some point.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. It was graphic design. And then as I found out, all roads lead to websites. And I'm sure this is something you've helped your clients probably realize, and maybe they get to it on their own, to where it's like, you can do all the marketing, you can do all the visuals, but at the end of the day, where does all that go? It goes to your website. So I took web design pretty seriously and realized that, wow, this is the main thing I want to do. So it went from graphic design to web design. I was a web designer for a decade, and then I started teaching on it, which started my career into YouTube and to doing what I do now, which is teaching what I learned and overseeing people like yourself who have web design agencies and businesses.
Yeah. I'm a proud member of your membership. I had sat on the fence for a long time listening to your podcast episodes, you talking about it. I was like, all right, you just got to do it. And I'm so glad I did, because there's just so many like great people in there and you've built such an amazing thing. Clearly a lot of work and effort. And it's awesome watching from the sidelines. Like you just created a new like pro space to highlight some of the people in the community that are really just that beacon of they're doing it right. They're doing awesome stuff, like someone to look up to and just study what they're doing. And I was like, that is just so cool. And then of course I'm like, man, I should do that. And it's calm down. Josh has been building for a long time,
Yeah.
but it's awesome to see. And it's awesome to be a part of.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you a part of it, because I do plan on having you in the inspiration section here soon too for the next round. Yeah. So yeah, my community is Web Designer Pro. And for those who don't know, and yeah, it's interesting because I transitioned from a service provider as a web designer to just accidentally getting into courses and then realizing I love teaching online, built a YouTube channel, started a podcast, and then went from course sales to community building and membership. So it is, as I look back, I've been self-employed for 16 years now. I got laid off in 2009. I actually love to tell people I haven't had a job since 2009 just to see what reactions I get. So I've learned a lot about different ways to sell. I've been a service provider. I've sold courses. I've sold products. I've sold community. I've sold coaching, consulting. Now I'm getting brand partnership deals and sponsorships. But there's been some constants through all that. And it really is, it's your website. The website is a constant through all of that. So
Yeah.
That's why I'm even more so today more passionate about, yeah, what you can do to make sure your home, your online home is the top converter. And I know
Yeah.
that's what you
Yeah.
help your folks with too.
Yeah, it's got to be that place. So, yeah, I think that's the question. There most of the people listening, the people in my audience, most of them know deep down they need a website and they want a website. But then there's so many people that you hear talking about, I don't get clients from my website, or I have a website but I'm getting clients from referrals or things like that, or just people really struggling with websites. And so I think that's something we can really dive into today. Is just if you have someone coming and saying, how do I get clients for my website, or how do I make my website actually convert better? What are some of those first things that you'd be looking at?
So we could definitely get into like design and stuff like that. But I think that overall, the most important like principle to remember is that everything around websites changes and varies. Like you may market on Instagram for a little bit. You may market on Facebook. You may market on LinkedIn. You may invest in SEO. You may run ads. You may be involved in certain communities. All those things are variable. And the one thing that's constant is your, again, like I just said, your home, your digital
Mm-hmm.
home. And I think a lot of people who feel like their website isn't valuable to them, it's because number one, it probably just sucks, or they probably tried it themselves and it didn't go well, or using like a crappy builder they found on a hosting company or something,
Yeah.
or they're not utilized, like they're not, they didn't make it a well representing home. They just threw it up there. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important thing today, especially in the wake of AI and everything else, is that you've got to build a strong home. The marketing, all the other channels, the algorithms that change. Like I have to be completely honest, I don't care if an algorithm changes now, because my
Mm-hmm.
foundation is set with my home, with my community, my website home, and my podcast, which is something that doesn't change either. I'm not reliant on algorithms and different market trends
Right.
and stuff like that. So I think it's worthwhile for everybody to think about having a stable home,
Right.
aka your website.
Yeah. 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 Because all of those things that we're doing, the visibility and all of that, those can change. They can, like you mentioned, there's things that you've tried and done over the years, and there's things I've tried and done over the years. But yeah, same for me. Like my website is where I send people. That's where I'm sending people. And that's where people are supposed to be getting the full picture of what I do. And I think that's something that people don't necessarily appreciate, business owners don't appreciate as much, as just like, your website really should be that full explanation in a way that your customers, it shouldn't be like an encyclopedia about your business and why you, all of that kind of stuff, but that's the spot where people get the full picture. But I think there's sometimes a disconnect from that, potentially.
And it's also where you can control everything. Like you can control the user experience. In the web design world, we call it the user experience. The customer experience is really what I'm thinking of. When somebody goes to a website, like you control everything. You can't control how Instagram is laid out, because they may
Right.
change things and then the grid looks different, or you can't control what
Right.
Facebook looks like. I log into Facebook now and there's just so much stuff. I'm like, this is so overwhelming. But you can control your website. You can control how you, we'll just keep on going with the home analogy, like how you
Yeah.
decorate your house. So
Yeah. How you
I
arrange the
think,
furniture, what goes in what room.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really have the control, and you just don't have control over virtually anything else online. So I think that's the true value, is to own something, to control it. And as you said, Whitney, and actually as you said before we hit record, you went to go brush up on my story and you went to my website. You didn't hunt around on my Facebook or my Instagram. Like you went
Right.
to my website, found my story. I have a little me in a minute, which is probably what you read, I imagine.
Yep.
And just you got 60 seconds. There you go. That's the highlights of what you need to know. And it's on my website. And hopefully that user flow was easy for you to find. You're not like, where the heck is his story? But that's by
Yeah.
design too. That's intentional too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something that you said earlier, which was interesting, like how you phrase this, people that aren't valuing their websites and not seeing their websites as a value, and that they may not have it set up fully. And how much do you feel like confidence plays a role, both in like having a website that you feel confident about, but then also, I know that I've worked with people where they actually were lacking some confidence in their services and in their abilities, or their ability to sell. And that unfortunately came through on the website because the copy wasn't as strong. They maybe just didn't feel as excited to actually put this representation out because they weren't yet feeling confident themselves.
I agree. I think that is a biggie. And it's harder for newer business owners or folks who are early in the journey. The thing is, though, you don't. I'm trying to go back to like when I started my web design business because I had zero confidence. The first few clients I got, those were my first few clients. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really have a portfolio at that point. So what I learned is that you can make up for a lack of confidence when you don't have the results yet with like genuine care. And if you're
Mm.
doing, and I know you're helping a lot of people who are passionate about what they do. And even if they don't have the client Rolodex yet or the confidence of years of experience and proven results, if they're really passionate about what they do, that's what I would translate. So ideally, yeah, you would the confidence you build as a business owner generally comes from the results. It's look, maybe I'm feeling off this month, but you know what? Whitney had this month, and this is how my stuff helped her. Another
Mm-hmm.
member of my community just got these results, and they said it was because of the community. So that's my confidence now. But early on, it was the confidence of I'm really passionate about this. I'm getting better at my craft, and I really want to help you. Your website sucks right now, so even at my level of suckage, it's going to be way better than your non-web designer level of suckage. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the confidence was a genuine care. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that's good for anyone who, yeah, everyone's at different stages of their business and how much results they have and creating that confidence. And I think like when I work with our members in our program, like we're working on getting clarity and who your customers and what your why is and all of that. And like that confidence can be built pretty quickly as long as you're like focused on it and knowing that, hey, I really need to convey like what I'm about and why I care on my website. You
Yeah.
do need to stand for something because that home, if that home is like a whitewashed, generic, cold office building that looks like every other office building because you're scared to put a fuzzy pillow on that couch because you're not sure, you know, that you want to say I care about this or I feel this way, then anyone coming into that home is not going to connect with you.
And I think a way to build confidence too, which is really in line with what you do, is to have a website that is based off of what works for others. Because you can actually build confidence when you have, for example, a website. And it's, oh my gosh, I suddenly look legit. I look like I've been doing this for a decade just because of the design. And I know you're helping people with copy as well. So that's a
Yeah.
biggie too, is to, yeah, ideally, I mean, it's one thing I've learned with helping students in my community, Web Designer Pro, which is especially the folks who are early on, they're like, I don't know what my site should look like. I don't know how to design it. I'm like, I have
Yeah.
a template. This
Yep.
is a good starting point. And then suddenly they get that up and they look like, wow, looks like I've been doing this for at least a few years. So
Yep.
that's a great way to like fast track confidence as well. Of course, your care, your passion is going to trump everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to like booking calls and booking clients and creating copy that's unique to you. But yeah, you can fast track the journey with a proven site design,
Mm-hmm.
which I know you're helping folks out with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then it's something you can riff off of and you can continue as you get clearer on what you're doing. And it is that loop of like you just mentioned, like you have this site that you're now really confident about, then you can be going out and getting more customers and all of that. So it's like this virtuous cycle. Yeah.
It's really cool too with that idea of confidence. I feel like most people who say their website doesn't do anything for them, they don't send people to their website because they know their website sucks. So they're like, yeah, don't look at the website. It's not something I take
Yeah.
seriously. But when you are confident in your website, that is the foundation for every other bit of marketing. And I had a guest on the podcast a while ago, and this has just stuck with me ever since. It's been like 2 or 3 years, maybe longer. But he said, social media and other marketing channels is your marketing team. Your website is your sales team. And that's a very, very big distinction. And I think a lot of people may
Yes.
treat their website like marketing, but if you treat your website like an intentional sales process, then you
Yeah.
can do all the marketing on any other channels that are going to fluctuate as much as you want. But you get into the website, that's where it's really clear. And you don't need to be ashamed to say,
Yeah.
this is who I help, this is what I do, this is how much it is, depending, or
Mhm.
maybe it's a call to action, like book a call. And then that's
Mhm.
the harder, not the harder sell, but you know what I mean? That's like the
Yeah.
close. So
Right.
there's
Yeah,
marketing,
that's
there's
the
sales, there's close. Your website is the sales. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I think that is something that is confusing sometimes to business owners of putting website in that marketing like stack. And it's no, it can do some things in attraction with SEO and all of that, but it is so sales focused. It is the last point usually where people are coming. Yeah, I guess some people manage people in the DMs. For me, that would drive me absolutely insane if I had leads DMing me and emailing me. And no, come to the website, one channel, go there, learn everything. And I know so many people, all of us, we're so busy. So to be spending a ton of time re explaining the same thing to people about what you do and answering a bunch
Oh,
of questions or like back and forth and having to remember, oh, this person sent me a message here and whatnot, like that would drive me insane. I don't have time for that. So the website is what does that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even for folks who are doing sales via DMs, it's still, if they want to buy from you or book a call, it probably goes to your website. So you could still, the
That's
message
a good
still
point.
remains the same, where all roads still lead to the website. You're not going to book a call through Instagram. Maybe you have a
Right.
Calendly link or something, but that's a whole nother, yeah.
Yeah.
It's you're missing the
Yeah.
opportunity to again guide somebody with what they need to know.
Yeah, and really show that value too, because your website often is giving that clearer picture of just how good you are. And it has so much more deep information that's organized, like you mentioned, in this journey for people to explore. Whereas if you're just relying on social media or profile in some directory, like it's just not conveying your value, just point blank, period. And then if someone does book a call to get on the phone with you, it might be harder to sell to them because they're just not primed in that way that someone who visited your site, as long as your site actually had all these proper things on it, would be.
I think one big important thing to think about too for most service-based businesses and providers is referrals. So
Mm,
if you only have a Facebook page and that's where you conduct your business, and then you have a client, Lisa, who wants to rave about you, she shares it with her friends, but they're not on Facebook. Maybe they're on Instagram, but you don't have an Instagram. Suddenly you have just lost the
yeah.
ability for them to check you out and view the story and see what you offer if they're not
Hmm.
on Facebook. So that's another important thing in marketing now is there's just so many scattered areas of like focus. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are distracted on different platforms, and they're siloed. Like most people are like really active on a couple of platforms, which means
Yeah.
if you don't have a website, you have to get all your clients on those platforms. Otherwise, especially when in
Right.
the case of referrals, you're stuck. Like you have to be on there. So even more
Yeah.
so reason to have a home that's open to everybody, that you don't need
Yep.
to be on a certain platform to view the website. You just need a
Right.
browser. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, what are some things that you've seen over the years that are like either the biggest mistakes or the biggest things people really need to make sure they have on a site that is focused on selling services and getting leads and customers?
So 16 years into this, as I've been looking at websites, there have been trends that have changed for sure. And it's funny because I got into web design before they were like mobile, like phones were even showing websites. So
Yeah.
it was different back then for sure. But what has not changed is kind of like what I said earlier. Who do you serve? What do you do? How do you do it if you have a process? And then let's go. Some sort of call to action, whether it is book a
Hmm.
call or sign up here. And of course, depending on the business, there's strategies to hide pricing or just be really upfront with your pricing and have somebody purchase online. But it
Hmm.
really is the who, how, what are the big things. And there's so many different variations of those, but every book, every conversion based video, whatever, it really
Hmm.
does get into who do you serve? What do you do? How do you do it? maybe there's a why in there if it's really, really passion led, but sometimes why isn't as important initially to
Hmm.
some people, because when people look at a website, they're selfish. They want to know what's in it for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are the main elements. I just always, and I've been going back to that for sales pages, for landing pages, for lead generator signups, what, who, what, how are some of the big
Hmm.
ones. So different variations of those. It is interesting. I think now in the age of just so much information, so much stuff, I know a challenge I've set for myself is to be more concise and a little more brief. And I remember one of our coaching calls in Web Designer Pro, we talked about sales pages being not as long just because people
Hmm.
are scanning so fast. So I almost feel like brevity is maybe like a current trend that is worth thinking
Mm.
about. Like, how
Hmm.
can I get this sales page or this website homepage to explain exactly what they need? Not everything I do, not everything, but just what do you
Yeah.
need to move forward or make some sort of decision without saying this is too confusing, I'm out. That's, I
Yeah.
think, the challenge for everybody, whether you're a web designer or a service-based business, whatever. I think it's some sort of brevity. Uh,
Hmm.
and again, if you go with the
Yeah.
who, what,
Right.
how type of thing, start with that. Start with 3 or 4
Yeah.
sections on a homepage,
Hmm.
and you'll probably go from there. You'll probably be pretty good.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about all of this is that it is not a complex formula. It is not a hidden secret, and it doesn't require. I was actually just meeting with another web designer, and we were talking about some of those builders that are all very pretty, very aesthetic. There's lots of overlapping elements. There's all these things, but is that really generating the ROI for people? And so there's always like new builders, new designs, new aesthetics, trends, and all of that. But what actually makes a website convert is not a very complicated thing, but it requires, like you were just mentioning, if you're going to be brief, which, yeah, I've often told people like writing for the web can be more difficult than writing an email or a blog post or something, because you need to get that point across concisely, but you also still need to be using language that's not generic, it's not jargony, it's got to be spot on. But then when you do that, like, that's it. You don't need to have a bunch of bells and whistles to make it work.
And I think a lot of people who are outside of our industry of web design, like we have learned this over the years, but most people don't know that people scan websites. They don't read websites unless it's a blog post or an intentional piece of
Mm-hmm.
long written content.
Yeah.
But I think if everybody knew that or realized that I have to make it scannable, that
Yeah.
will help with the idea of keeping things brief. And you're totally
Mm-hmm.
right, Whitney. It's so much easier to write 1,500 words talking about your processes and your sales and everything you do
Mm-hmm.
versus how can I get this down to 300 words for this section or something? What are the
Right.
most important things? That it really does take a lot more work to make things brief, but man, is it worthwhile. Yeah, I really think as far as what it has not worked, I think it's people adding too much complexity and just too much, yeah, too much, especially to a homepage. A website
Mm-hmm.
homepage, in my view, should really be more of a like high level directory journey. What do you need to know? Where do you need to go to get more? Maybe you do want to know more about my web design services. There's a page for that that goes in
Yeah.
extreme detail. But if you just want to know how we help, what we do, and you're ready to move forward, here it is. Boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
Here's who we
Mm-hmm.
help. Here's what we do. Here's how we do it. Here's the call to action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I look at a lot of websites and how often services are missing from the homepage. It's interesting because that's why your website exists. And there's a lot of other copy, but for some reason, the services are not just clearly written on the homepage. And I feel like even spending some time to just say what, like you were just saying, who you serve and what is it that you do? What are the things you actually do? Having that up front goes a long way from people having to like hunt and peck and what is, yeah, they'll see the services tab in the top bar there, but it's like your homepage should be talking about what you do. Like you said, it should be that directory of all the other content on your site, just little like snippets.
And so I always go back to my wife and I's wedding photographer, because wedding photography is one of those industries that could and often is for a lot of photographers very open-ended, and they just let the groom and bride create a suite of
Mm,
services. How much variety do they want? How many pictures? All this stuff. And
yeah.
our photographer was such a pro. I actually learned so much from him. And I used to not like packages. I used to be very against having a packaged type service until I
Mm,
worked with him, because he even said on his photography site, I never liked packages, but I love them now. And here's why: because we know what works, and within a certain context, depending on what you need and what your budget range is, this is where you can fall into. We were in the middle package for him. He had 3 packages. And
hmm
yeah,
I'm sure that was by the design. The
it was
middle
by
package
design.
is usually the best one.
It was by design. Yep. Yeah. We wanted a little more
Yep.
than the first one offered. We weren't at a place where we could do like that top, I don't know, it was like a
hmm
$10,000 package or something like that. I think ours was like a $3,000 package, if I remember right, for which was a decent investment, but still it was reasonable. And
hmm
that really did change my thoughts about like what you offer, and
Yeah.
making it really clear. It made it an easier decision. I think a great way to lose business is to make things vague.
It's
And
a great quote.
if you're too vague and it's not clear, again, just going back to the plain old simple, who do you serve, what do you do, how do you do it?
hmm
Though if that is not clear, that's when you're going to lose sales from your website, because it's going to be like, this person seemed cool, but I actually don't know what they do. And if
Right.
somebody can't look at your website and then leave in a few minutes and say, this is what they do, that's
hmm
a very, very worthwhile thing to improve on. So
Yeah.
yeah, as far as showcasing your services, absolutely, Whitney. Share what
hmm
you do, make it really clear. If you can package things up in some sort of way,
I agree
even
with
better, even
packages.
better.
Yeah. Yeah. We were getting a sandwich at a sandwich shop. We went in and they were like, we'll make any sandwich you want. And I was like, I really wish that they had just given like a few options that I could then like potentially customize. But I was at a pizza place once. It was the same thing. They were like, make any pizza you want. And I'm like, I don't know that I should put shrimp and hot peppers and cream cheese on a pizza. Like, I would
Right.
rather you tell me what is the best pizza. So,
That's a great analogy. Yeah, like we want to be guided when we go to a
yeah,
restaurant. We don't want to, I'm not the cook. I don't know. I want you to see, yeah, I might have a little bit of variety or have options, but yeah, at the end of the
yeah.
day, you're totally right. You need to be the chef, and they are your
Yeah.
restaurantee, the diner.
Yeah.
So totally.
Yeah. We were talking before we hit record that I eat all across the world. I eat my way through many countries. And so, yeah, those are like the most clearest analogies. Yeah. It's just, if you're not doing that, your customers are like, a lot of people maybe sell sessions and like even packages of sessions or something like that. But I would ask people to go even further and say, really, what is the result? I was even, it's like people are buying solutions, they're not buying sessions. They really want, because you bought the package that solved the problem that you were looking for. Like, you want this many photos. Maybe you didn't want a video, so it didn't include like also videography and all of that. And it solved that problem for you specifically. You knew that package was right for you, and you knew that you were like what result you were going to get at the end. And I think that's also sometimes the challenge with websites where it's saying we're going to do all of these things and whatever, but it's not really clear, what are we working towards? Are we actually going to get the result that we're looking for? Is it, can we really achieve what we're want? Like, I was looking at one website recently about some weight loss services that someone was offering, and it was like 3 sessions. And I don't know that anyone's going to get a ton of results that they're really excited about in 3 sessions. And that goes for so many different health related things. That's just not enough time. And so I would encourage people, and it can be scary, like putting higher price things together, but if it's going to take 3 months to really get your customers what they want, then that's what you should sell them.
Yeah. And that is tough with websites, because sometimes there is a lot of marketing at play that help websites. Like we've talked about, there's sales, which is your website, but then there's marketing. If you don't do much marketing to drive traffic to your website, then you're not going to have as many opportunities to sell. One thing
Yeah.
that I found, though, is that you can still, with a few improvements on your website, help sales, and we call it conversions, which is just moving somebody from a potential customer on your website to an actual paying customer or somebody who books a call. There are a few things you can do that, and it can be very measurable on a website. So that's generally what I would aim for as like a first level of results is, let's say 100 people are looking at your website in a week and 99 of them have left without doing anything. What if a few tweaks, what if having one call to action button instead of 5 with different options to go into? What if it was just book a free call or book a consultation or sign up for a free 15-minute session? What if that was the main thing? And then 10 people out of those 100 move forward with that. Suddenly we've increased that conversion by, what would that be, 9%? So that's like a measurable, is that right? I should never, why do I do live
I
math?
don't do math on the fly. So.
It's a terrible, I always get myself into this. I don't know why. You have to, I feel like when you're doing results though, because it's just like, is that thing. But that's
it's a lot more.
A lot more. That's a practical example of how like this was something controlled on the website. Yeah. We didn't have to do any new marketing or ad spend or any networking or anything. This is just purely what is on the website. So when it comes to those results, no matter what industry it is, I always recommend focusing on what you can control currently, because it can really, would it be better to get 10 more people to move forward who are already on your website, or invest $1,000 in a Facebook ad campaign? I would start with on your website, because it's something you control. And then when you add $1,000 to an ad campaign, it's going to, the website's primed and ready to attract more people.
Yeah.
Convert.
And simplifying CTAs is one thing that you mentioned, could be one of those things that could improve things. I would probably say looking at the copy and like a stronger headline, for example, on your homepage and looking through it. What are some other things that, if people want to do some experimentation right now or look at their site, that could maybe make those like really huge shifts without actually having to change a whole bunch?
Who is behind the brand? Like, who is behind the business? I can't stress this enough, especially today in 2025, especially if you're a service provider of any kind. I know you're helping out a lot of folks in the wellness world. So pretty much every one of your clients is a service provider. Right. So even more, I'm shocked at how many web designers who I coach, I look at their websites and I'm like, I have no idea who's behind this. I don't know. There's nothing about the founder, the creative director. I don't know how big the team is. Is it one person who's living in their mom's basement, or is it an agency downtown with 30 people? I have no idea. That is more crucial than ever. People really do want to know who they're going to work with. So, oh my goodness, get you on your website.
I hit a nerve.
Sorry.
I love it.
The world needs to know. The world needs to get themselves on. And I think a lot of people used to feel vain about that, but it's just so important now more than ever. And the cool thing is, you don't need to be like an influencer. It's just, especially, for example, a handyman. If I have an issue with our house and I'm going to try to hire a handyman, I want to know who the heck is literally going to be walking through the door and who are going to be around my children. That's really, really important. If you go to a yoga studio, I'm going to want to know the instructor, like a little bit about who are they, what's their background, even if it's just high level, like you looked at with my site, just a me in a minute. What's the high level brief, just highlights of a story? That is so important, especially when it comes to hiring something out where you're going to trust them to do something for you. In the case of building a website or creating a fitness plan or nutrition plan, people, I think more so now than ever, are a little more interested in just liking who they're going to work with and feeling trust and comfort with them. So long, excitable way to say, get you on your website and don't hide behind your brand, hide behind the website. There's two specific things I would do. Have an about page for sure, or a story type page, and then put just a section on your homepage that I like to call a founder's note, or it might be like the CEO note, whatever you want to call it. But it's that way, if somebody scans the website and they don't go forward into other pages, they at least see, oh, okay, Whitney's behind this. Or again, go back to Lisa, whoever Lisa is. Lisa is the instructor. Lisa is the dietitian, whatever it is. And it's just a quick, hey, I'm Lisa. I did this for years. This is why I'm passionate about this now. learn more about my story, click here, or meet your dietitian. I love
Mm-hmm.
to tell people have for my folks, meet your web designer, because it just gives a
Mm.
little, yeah, this is going to be the person potentially designing
Yeah,
my site. It's almost like a little
it's a
sales
real
trick before
person.
you even move forward.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, meet your dietitian. Yeah, it's funny because I was looking at my Google Analytics and I saw how many people were clicking on our about page, which I had neglected for years. And so I mentioned to you we're redesigning our site, and the about page is the first page. We were like, all right, we just got to do it. And luckily I have a team with me now, so like I can take some of the onus and be like, all right, just put together a structure, we'll put together some copy. And but yeah, it's important. And I think you're maybe alluding to part of now more than ever is that there's also just like a lot of AI generated
Mhm.
crap out there. And people want to connect with real people. And there's websites that are sometimes just put together by who knows what, and or there's advice out there that is coming from who knows where. And especially when it comes to like our mental health, our physical health, people trying to plan for a family, or they're caring for the health of their kids, like they want to actually work with a real person who they can trust.
Hmm.
And that I there's also stories of just like people getting burned by healthcare providers, not being heard and listened to and all of that. And I completely agree. The trust factor is just so huge and important, especially now.
I think the age of like big corporate structures, agencies, I
Mm.
think they are all in a very, very hard place because so many people have been burned by agency style service providers. The perfect
Mm-hmm.
example is how many of my clients told me, I really don't want to work with a big agency. We had big problems with a digital marketing
Yeah.
agency. And that's not uncommon because they have big churn, they have different departments, they're
Yep.
working on keeping people in their own building, and then you're often treated like a number. I will give
Mm-hmm.
one little pro tip that has worked on my site that I will work in any industry, and that is to highlight the where like you're at in the market, or a bit of a like a almost like a why me, what's different about me. And
Mm-hmm.
I always found myself, because I had a very small team. I just had a few contractors that work with me, and I created a graphic because I found myself telling potential clients all the time, I'm not a stressed out, overwhelmed solo freelancer, but I'm not an agency. And
Uh-huh.
I made it very clear that I'm not a big agency. You will work with me, and I have a few team members that you'll hear from depending on the project. And that little graphic that I put on my homepage, so many web designer pros have done that to great success, which just lights me up
I love
because people
that.
love that. They're like, yes, I want
Yeah.
somebody in the middle. I don't want the freelancer who I'm never going to hear from because they can't keep up with their email, but I don't want to be a
Yeah.
number on a spreadsheet for an agency. I want the sweet
Yeah.
spot. So if you can
Yeah.
really articulate your sweet spot in there as well, that's a
Mm-hmm.
that's a big piece. Sorry, I think I took us on a
Yeah.
tangent, but yeah, absolutely. Like really getting
No.
clear on who is behind it, and yeah, what separates you, where you're at in the market. I know it's a huge boost in conversions and people moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because people are looking for that personalized care, and a lot of listeners in my audience, they're offering the one-to-one services. Even if you're offering one to many, even if you have someone who's co-coaching with you in a group program, or you have another practitioner, being upfront and clear about it. There's nothing wrong with, I think I used to also back in the day, I thought people were just hiring me because I designed the websites. And I
Mm.
was like, oh, I don't want to start saying that like I have a designer and I have a developer. Like they wanted me. And no, they just want a website. They want a great website. They're coming to me because they trust me. And that trust extends to that I am bringing in the people on my team that are going to do a great job as well. And so if you have a virtual assistant who is going to be helping with billing or day to day administration with your clients, or you are going to have a second practitioner that maybe is going to handle some of the appointments, or people can book with you or book with that practitioner, put that up on the site. And that can actually be a really great differentiator. Some people may love that,
Mhm.
oh, there's additional support, like you were saying, and just saying, yeah, this is the team. And I think that's great.
Absolutely. And to take that one step further, I would be really upfront with their role in the business because I didn't have anybody. I had a couple basically full time. I had one lead designer who was full time, and then my wife helped out with the business for a while before we had kids. And my
Mhm.
team page was literally us three. And then I had collaborators, and these were folks who had areas of specialty. And I even put on there, they assist with projects when needed or
Mhm.
when called upon. And clients love that. And I found the same exact things with my analytics here, Whitney, which was my top pages on my website were my portfolio and my about page up above everything else. People
Yeah.
want to know, they want to see what you do, and they want to see who they're going to work with. That's so
Mhm.
important. And again,
Yeah.
use your homepage to lead to those for more detail, but huge, 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 because it's key. It's crucial. And again, like
Yeah.
you said, the days of AI are here, and there's just so much stuff. I think people more than ever want guidance, and they want clarity, and they want some like peace. They want to know, okay, I'm in good hands. I'm in Josh and his team.
Yeah.
They've got me. We're going to make this simple for you. Don't you worry
Mhm.
about your business. We're going to worry about this. That's key. And
Yeah.
I know I've seen your sites. I know it's what you're helping your clients out with too. It's to position them
Mhm.
as the guide in story brand world, which is the story brand book that teaches
Yeah.
you're the
So good.
guide. You want your client to be the hero. And man, if there's ever a time for that, it's now.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. And I think that there are some dietitians, nutritionists, and coaches out there that are feeling the crunch with AI because sure, there are people that can go and get a meal plan off of ChatGPT and think that that is enough and why should I be hiring you and paying for you? And so there is that feeling of okay, how do I compete with that? But I think it goes back to humanizing and showing the value and showing that connection. And there's so much more that people need and that people get from working with an actual practitioner. So I don't think that we should feel that AI is coming to take our jobs as service providers. I think it just maybe is changing how we're showing up for people.
What you said right there is key, Whitney. There's so much more that people need with a real practitioner. And I think that's what would be the things to drill into. That's what you get on the homepage. That's what you're going to find here that you're not going to find elsewhere.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. I think all coaches in every industry have had that fear of, yeah, you could go to Chat GPT and you could get a diet plan, or you could get a structure of a web design business in my case. And I thought
Mhm.
about that. I'm like, I could ask you this, I guess, we had our recent in-person event for Web Designer Pro a couple months ago, and it really gave me a good window into why they have joined and why they stuck around. And one
Mhm.
member told me, of all the people she's followed in the web design space, I'm the only one that she feels like truly cares. And it goes back to that thing I said earlier of just a genuine care. That is something that is sensed. And that is, you
Yeah.
can't fake that. People can tell when you're just a hustler trying to build something to sell it, or just trying to build something quick, and they don't know what kind of support they're going to get. So I think even more
Mhm.
of you can somehow get that across, whether it's through copy and messaging, whether it's through a person like a video on your website
Mhm.
overviewing your why
Mhm.
and talking about why you do what you do. That goes a long way. Podcast
Yep.
interviews or podcast show, anything like that, anything you can do to
Mhm.
get you on your website, the personal side of things, I think now is the
Yeah.
time for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Let me ask you that real
Yeah.
quick. Why did you join? What was it about? Because you could have gone in, you could have gone to Agency Mavericks, which is a competitor of mine. Shannon Mattern's a
Mm.
good friend of mine. You could have gone into her, and she's great too. But what was there something? Yeah, what was it about my stuff that helped you? What did I do right
Well,
in the conversion process?
right, this is
What
a
was
great
it?
it's a great question. Yeah, I also felt that you genuinely cared. I had gotten a lot of value from your podcast in the past, like the depth of information and just the quality of information that I had gotten from you in the past and how much you already put into your podcast that I wanted to learn more from you. I just
Mm.
was like, I there's more things that I want to figure out and I want to be in a place where there are other people learning and I can get Josh's input and I can learn from you and make sure that I'm doing all the best things that I possibly can with your courses and all of that. I just felt okay, I've gotten so much good stuff up to this wall. And if I feel like there's so much additional amazing stuff past this wall, And I trust that there is because I trusted you. And that's why I was, yeah, ready to move forward.
That's great. I appreciate hearing that, Whitney. And it reminds me of the importance of like implementation and transformation. And I think for your clients, I imagine you probably get questions about, if I post all my content online
Yeah.
or marketing, who's going to pay me for anything? Because it's all there. And as a content creator, what I've learned is that most content you're doing on blogs or social media, podcasts, videos are going to be snacks of some sort. They're going to be little bite-sized things, but after a while, you realize you've got an overwhelming amount of stuff, and not everyone's going to be able to, like my podcast is almost 400 episodes now. No
Yeah.
one's going to listen to 400 episodes and have a very clear, okay, here's exactly what I'm going to do.
Right. Now I
So
know what to do.
my
Yeah.
goal is to get them into my world to where here's a clearer plan. And for somebody like yourself who's established, your path is different than somebody who's in the first couple years of their business. So you need more like intense, like coaching style approach to your stuff. And so for wellness providers, service providers, you can have that same approach to where there's probably going to be a bit of a different path, again, depending on the package that you want to create for people. So that's just for anyone who has that question of who's going to pay me if I just put all my content online. They're paying you for transformation and integration of all that information. There's information, then there's transformation. Information is free if you want it to be. Transformation, that's when they pay you.
That's so good. That's such a great way to think about it because yeah, I've definitely heard that question come up before, and it can be tough and it can feel like we're giving away a lot. And it comes with time. I think marketing is a muscle you have to keep working, and all of us coming out of college do not have strong marketing muscles. Whatever degree we got, whatever job we had did not prepare us to be a marketer and know what should I be talking about? How much should I be doing? But honestly, the more you put out, it gives people more chances to learn from you and trust you and understand like your approach. And that's another thing too, is just I am not all about grinding it out and hustling and like just going real hard. Like I want my life to be enjoyable and all of that. And so I like your approach. You spend time with your family, like you seem very calm and easygoing, and that's what I want. So I think it's not just about the information too. It's when you have these personal ways for people to get to know you. So whether it's a podcast or whether you're putting out reels or TikToks or any short form kind of video content, anything, people are just getting to know who you are and how you think. And that also goes a long way.
That's a good point. I actually love that we're talking about this because now with AI especially, you just cannot safeguard your information anymore. Information, whether we like to admit it or not, has devalued. So what is the value now is the implementation, the personalization, the transformation that you get with that information. So did I say that right? That just tied a knot in my brain saying all that.
Yeah,
But
no.
yeah, clip it. So that, and I say that because anybody is, and I've had so many conversations with people who are like, you just give everything away. How are people paying you? But people don't want to pay for a buffet of everything. They want to pay for what they need. And especially now, most people want a faster result. So I don't want to invest in like a dictionary size nutrition book. I just want to know, here's where I'm at. Here are my goals. What's the fastest path that will get me here? That's what I would pay for. That's what people are paying for in any sort of wellness. I know for sure. And that's the model I've tried to approach, and I'm continuing to refine in Web Designer Pro. My community is meet people where they are and give them a path to follow. And I think if every service provider, I just think right now is the time to not fear your information. Put everything out for free if you want as far as information, but then have the next step. One thing to remember too is if you have, let's say, 300 videos on your YouTube channel, and that's basically all your stuff, but somebody's not going to watch 300 videos. But if they had a place where there was a path for those 300 videos that would help them get a result along with some other, whatever it is, coaching or personalization or an action plan, that's what they pay for. So information is purely the means to get to the result. That's probably the biggest shift that I've seen with like content and marketing is not even that long ago, 5, 6 years ago, information was like, "Oh, no one I don't wanna
Yeah.
no one's going to see my web design contract until you pay me,
Right.
or no one's gonna see my process." Now I'm like,
Yeah.
"Here's everything." And
This is
then
how we do it.
you wanna implement
Yeah.
it, you want community behind you want some coaching behind you wanna do it faster, come on in. That's my goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and so I think that's just great for us to think about with what we're putting on our websites and the kind of messaging that we're putting around our process or what our package is offering and all of that. And it's yes, it's fine to include and talk about, okay, maybe they're going to get a meal plan or they're going to get a foods list for fertility or something like that. But as we know, the value of those things is a little less important these days than maybe it used to be because of just the availability of that kind of stuff. So, what are the other things that are going to help that AI can't really help them with, or that they're going to get stuck on? What are those challenges that you've seen time and time again that your clients are struggling with, that they actually come to you, come to a coaching call and talk about that? That's the kind of stuff that you need to describe on your site that is actually part of what you do, because then they're going, some people may not even realize that, oh, going back to AI can't do that for you. People may not realize that what they're missing by just going to AI. So it's, these are all the things that are going to trip you up, and this is how we're going to overcome them.
And I feel like in the wellness world, am I right in saying that everybody has a story in the wellness world? Everyone probably has
In
some
terms
sort
of
of
why
before and
they
after. Yeah. Probably everyone has
mm-hmm,
some sort of before and after transformation. And that immediately puts you in a position, even if you're brand spanking new into it, of maybe not being an expert, but being a guide in some way. And that's the kind of thing that will just additionally going back to like about page, like a story, giving even
mm-hmm,
more a boost of conversion and trust in you, because it's, even if it's a minor increase or decrease in weight gain, whatever it
yeah,
is, it is, even if it's a minor transformation, that still is a big deal that can be used. I hate to say it like this, but that's your marketing. Your story is your marketing. And yeah, I think if people, I do wonder if maybe people are unintentionally or intentionally hiding that story. And my gosh, is that important to get out there, because it gives a level of trust that someone's okay, this person has done this. Because there are so many
yeah,
options, I don't think,
mm-hmm,
I think it's more important now than ever to be really personal and open about your own story, getting that out
mm-hmm,
there. And that will help, especially in the age of AI, because it's
yeah,
personal. When somebody can see, if you
mm-hmm,
can see yourself in this person and be like, oh, yeah, I want that. Even if it's a minor thing,
mm-hmm,
that can be a huge converter.
yep. So I think the moral of the story here is, when it comes to getting more clients to your website and fixing a website that just isn't getting any leads, any calls and all of that, it's not some secret that is guarded in terms of what makes a website work. It's the things that we covered today. It's minor shifts, which I guess if your site is completely kind of all weird, then maybe they're slightly bigger shifts, but
Yeah.
there are things that are not rocket science in terms of what needs to be on your site and how you need to be talking to people. That is what is going to make people want to click the link to book a discovery call with you. That's what changes things.
Yeah, maybe it's worthwhile doing like a priority list here, because we probably gave everyone like 17 things they could do. But I think the most important thing, and again, a lot of this is what you help people with out of the box. So probably preaching to the choir here, but one call to action is still king. I think when it, like, you can't have secondary, like you could have book a
You put on my
call,
email list.
find
Yeah.
out more, whatever. Really, like, if, what do you want somebody to do on your website? If you want them to book a call, it should be book a call. If you want them to pay
Mm-hmm.
you, it should be sign up now. Clear as day,
Yep.
clear as that. So that's the first thing to start with. The probably the next big priority item upon any of that stuff is the clear packages. Even before putting your story on there, I'd probably have really clear offers. It really is
Okay.
call to action and the offer. You've got to clarify the offer, package it up like we talked about. Even if you just
Mm-hmm.
experiment with ranges or just types of packages, that
Yeah.
will help. That will definitely help until you reel it in. And
Yeah.
then you're like, all right, I have 3 people kill it in this package. These people kill it in
Yep.
this package. There you go. A year from now,
Yeah.
you'll have extra clear packages, but do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say number 3 is probably personalization. Get you on your website if it's if you're not there now, or if you're not already clear, don't be afraid of
Mhm.
your story. And then have that little, in the wellness industry, it's probably not founder's note. It's probably more of a meet your guide, meet your instructor, whatever that is, and just
Mhm.
have a little bit about who they're going to work with. And don't be afraid of having a team page, like you said,
Mhm.
absolutely. And then I would probably say go further into the copy and the messaging. And of course, all these things are very important, but if I were to like set a priority list and do one, that's probably how I would go about it. Is, and a lot of these things can
Okay.
be done pretty quickly, especially with your sites. You do it in one day, so like a lot of those
Yeah.
things, you just knock them out.
Yeah.
But that's probably the focus I would do on there is the copy, and then the copy is going to get into things like results and getting some
Mhm.
social proof from clients, and
Mhm.
really putting that in there, because some people aren't always initially attracted to like monetary results or measured results as much as feeling. And like you said,
Yeah.
I don't think you join my community thinking I want to hit a certain revenue range and Josh is going to help you get there. You joined because
No.
you just wanted to make sure you continue to have a feeling of your business of
Mhm.
freedom and stability, and that's great. Some people do want to just make a certain amount. Some people just want
Mhm.
to feel a certain way,
Mm.
and you can,
Yeah.
all these things together can help people with that. So
Mhm.
was there anything
Yeah,
else?
I think it's good to speak on both of those. If you have something that's or quantitative, that's great. But yeah, focusing on, I felt so, I felt more heard and seen than I've ever felt with any other practitioner before. Like just even those kinds of
Yeah.
things can mean so much to someone who's looking at your site and they're sitting in that same boat right now and that's what they're looking for.
You know what
So,
I would do too is, for wellness providers, send out a survey, do a bit of a audit with past clients, and most clients will be happy to do that for you. And because I did this in pro last year, and I got so much copy that I didn't have to write or think
mm,
about, because I just asked people, what do they like about in pro? How has pro helped you on different levels? Some it was revenue, some it was feeling. The overarching thing that I learned that pro helps with my community is confidence. And I really started leaning into that more. And when I'm talking about Web Designer Pro, and when I'm having on the landing page, my homepage. So I would
yeah.
encourage everyone to potentially, yeah, when it comes to copy and messaging, if you're stuck and you're like, what should I write? Number one, you guide them, I know, on that. But if you really want to get into the granular stuff, yeah, do a
Hmm.
survey, do it on it, and just
Hmm.
say, hey, would you make it short? Would you guys be
Yeah.
willing to share how my services have helped you, either literally physically, or maybe it's more emotionally or mentally? And then there's your
Hmm.
copy, and that's what you put. That's what helps separate you from everybody else.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think that's just do it. Don't overthink it and be like, oh, I'm asking so much from people. It's no, people, if they're happy to share that with you and help you out. And I think that that's just like such a great tip that everyone should do.
And guess what? You
So,
just got like 20 weeks of marketing material when you get
right.
20 people who tell you what they've done. You just landed 20 testimonials accidentally as well. So
Mm-hmm. Yep. Stories you can share and all of that. So I love it. Yeah. Josh, this has just been such a great conversation. We covered so much ground, like
we did
way
good.
beyond even websites.
We
Yeah.
did good. This is really good. I love this too, because I'm so ingrained in the web design world. It's good for me to step out into the broader service-based business, since I don't build websites anymore. I full-time coach web designers. Yeah, I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed this. This was a good, this got me thinking about some stuff that I want to implement. So I really appreciate
Nice.
it. Great questions. And yeah, I really hope this helps a lot of your folks, because listen, if you can learn from web designers, like who better to learn from as a service provider than folks who are in the know? So I don't want to
Yep.
toot our own horns, but I'm going to toot our own horns and say, listen to us, because we're in the thick of it every day. We're seeing this stuff play out in real time.
Yeah. That's true. We're at that top level. We're seeing what's working, what people are talking about. And yeah, that's what people should implement.
Heck
So
yeah.
yeah, thank you so much, Josh. We'll put your website in the show notes so people can visit and check you out. And even though we don't have web designers necessarily listening, you do cover some good business topics on your podcast. So I would recommend people, if they do want to just skim through your library of episodes, like you just do such a wonderful job. And if there's an episode or two that like piques their interest just as a business owner and entrepreneur, I think they should totally listen.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. For fellow podcast listeners, my show is the Web Design Business Podcast. But you're right, about 50% of it is just marketing and online entrepreneurship. Actually, by the time this goes live, I don't know if it'll be live yet, but we've had some really good conversations recently about marketing, specifically on LinkedIn and Instagram and some other
Oh
channels.
yeah, I saw one of those come out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta listen to that
Yeah,
one.
so those
Yeah.
would be good ones. Just do a quick scan and see what helps you where you're at. But yeah, and then what I'd say is just go to webdesignerpro.com if you just want to see some of these things in the real world. Ironically, that is a very not brief page, but my homepage on Web Designer Pro is a long page, but it is converting,
okay.
so it's working. But I do
Yeah.
plan to make it a little more brief here moving forward. So just like all web designers, I already hate my website after it's live.
Yeah.
After you love it, and then
Yep.
2 months later, you're like, how am I getting any clients? This is so bad.
It's so bad. We are our own worst critics. Once we see something, we can't unsee it. But yeah,
Yeah.
so at least I guess I feel like that is solace maybe for everyone listening too.
Yes.
Like web designers hate their own websites too.
Yes. Yeah, you're not alone. Because I know clients, you go live with a site, you're all excited, and 3 months later, they're like, maybe we should change it. But especially when it works, don't change it. Let it go.
Yeah.
I remind
Let it
myself that
ride.
constantly. I'm like, you know what? Pro is growing fine. It's working. So I don't need to mess it up. I don't need to
Focus
blow
on
it up.
other things.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing too. Just like there's so many things that we can be focusing on. So is this because you want to do it or because you need to do it? Like if
Yeah.
it's just
Ooh.
you having some feelings, you need to just work on those, journal about it, and then move on and go build your email list, go pitch to podcasts, like do other things that are going to be more productive than fiddling with things.
Yes. Oh, here.
Yeah. All right. I will let you go. Thank you so much, Josh, for coming on the podcast and for sharing all of this with us.
Thanks
today.
for having me. This was a blast. Thanks, Whitney.
A big thanks to Josh for coming on the podcast today and sharing all of that awesome knowledge with us. I'm sure you're walking away with a little checklist and to-do list of things you want to be looking at on your website to improve the conversion rates and have more people saying yes and clicking your booking link and signing up to actually work with you. So I hope that this gave you just a lot of food for thought and how to move forward and inspired you a lot as well. Now, if you want to check Josh out, make sure you check out his podcast. And also you can go to his website, webdesignerpro.com, or his other website, joshhall.co. We've got those in the show notes. You can check Josh out. And like I mentioned, his podcast does have some great episodes just about business and marketing in general. And if this convo got your wheels turning about your own website and you want to dig into some specifics, I have great news. This is my announcement. Next week, I'm going to be hosting a live open coaching and Q&A call on Zoom, totally free. And it's your opportunity to ask me anything. So we were talking about how AI, has some information, but it's not really giving you guidance. And actually, after we stopped recording, Josh and I were talking more about AI and how AI can be a great cheerleader, but it's not a coach. A coach is someone who's going to look at what's going on with you, what are you trying to achieve, and find that exact path that you need to change things or what you need to tweak in order to move forward. So that's what we're going to be doing on this call. Come with any question that you have about your website, about what's working or not working right now for you with the traffic you're getting to it or not traffic and clients or not clients, any questions that you have that maybe you feel are a little silly when it comes to tech or online business and online marketing. Maybe you've heard a prior episode and we've talked about something that maybe you're a little unfamiliar with and you have some follow-up questions about it. That's what this call is for. It's an open forum, honestly. It's just there's no agenda. I just want to hear from you. I want to help you. I want to answer your questions. So the link to register is whitneybateson.com/coach. You can go and put in your name, your email, what question you have for me. If you have a website and you want us to be talking about your website, then you can pop that in there. If you don't have a website, that is not a requirement to ask a question. Feel free to throw in your question in there. If you don't have a question at the time of registration, don't worry. We will be sending some reminder emails, and you can always reply to those emails too to submit your question to me. And then we'll be going live. And it is on Wednesday, July 23rd at 12 p.m. Eastern. So do make sure that you register, put that on your calendar. I would love to see you there and help you out with whatever you're getting stuck with or you just want to dig into more. That's what this call is for. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and listening, and I will see you on the next episode.